to go to the steelworks, we usually go straight down. But they've blocked all that off to make us come up here. Can we go on there? Can we go on there?
Go on where? Motorway? No, turn right here.
He was asking, or stated, the police officer stated, I don't know what you is picking outside these gates for because you'll never win this dispute. And one of the pickets replied, oh, we'll win this dispute, okay, and we'll also get rid of your government at the same time. He says, well, if you do get rid of our government, he says, we'll be the next government. The police will be the next government. And I think, you know, that statement and the way that statement was made has frightening implications for the working class of this country.
You turned your back on Northern Ireland, wishing it would disappear. Said the Irish can't stop fighting, but it'll never happen here. And it disturbed your conscience, so you turned your face away. And let Belfast 1970 become nothing happened today. Not once in living memory has there ever been a time when the paper said a strike was anything other than a crime. But they only pat the heads of those who are on their side. So at least when they're attacking us, when oh, we're getting it right. So let's sing their praises and glorify their deeds. For they're fighting for the future and they're giving us a lead. There's no point in complaining, things are moving to the right. And then attacking those who're prepared to make a fight.
We look at our colliery where there's 1,100 men employed. Once that colliery closes, there's whole communities die. There's 2 trains coming from the railway, British Rail, every day. So they've lost their jobs straight away. With the steel industry, we've 300 tonnes of steel goes into our colliery every day to be used. We've also got the ancillary work, such as engineering works in his own vicinity, which will lose out. They'll not have work. So when we attack a mining community, we attack a lot more people besides. And I believe it's time people did realise this. Mr McGregor's not just going to close our collieries, he's going to close a hell of a lot more work down in this country.
Well, actually, in Woomble, it isn't only a pit village like Cortonwood is, which is only 1.5 miles from where I live. And I think people in Yorkshire would have been through Cortonwood. They know that pit starts at one end and school's at other, and it is just a street actually through Cortonwood. And we've heard that school is closing as well. And same as gentlemen have said, what good are their homes, what they've bought? Who wants to buy an home in a mining community where there's just no work? And there seems to be no prospect of getting work.
Why should we have to move in here?
Well, this is it. We're not industrial gypsies, are we?
I don't want to move.
No.
I was born and bred there. Why should I have to uproot myself? That man is 72 years of age. My husband's 40. He hopes to work till he's 65. And that man's not going to tell him he's got to finish at 40.
Well, not only that, we've got young boys down with us, 25, 26, and this is their 5th pit for them to work in because they've shut them all. The trouble is, as I say, it's the last pit in the on there now. They've got nowhere else to go. I mean, at 25, 26, you can't chuck them on a scrappy.
They have closed the Wyndham Western, and the wounds of men bleed in terraced houses, weary with redundancies, births and deaths. And history, turning in on itself, and all that in itself speaks only of slaggy tans searching for flames in lumps of coal. And the village cannot sleep. As coal flames die behind the closed doors of eyes that cannot weep, tears too are redundant.
And I can't remember in the time that I've been in the coal mines when the NUM has fought against the closure of a pit through exhaustion. It's never happened. A miner working under their conditions knows exactly what's coming, knows exactly the future of his pit's limited because they've extracted the coal resources that are there. And a decision's got to be made. Do you take redundancy or do you take transfer money and do you move? Or in a position where a pit isn't exhausted, do you stand and fight? And fight for your community, your family, etc. And that's the decision that the miners have taken at this time. We're standing and we're fighting for pits that still have coal in them.
Who am I to ask them why? This pit must live, that pit must die. They say but sir, it's economics, that's juggling by financial comics. What maxim has the NCB, the miners' lot, or LSD? Pitricide means to murder a pit for economic reasons. And there was many a pit, and there was many a pit village murdered in the county of Durham for economic reasons. And here was one of them. Ye brave bold men of caution, the day is drawing near. You'll have to change your language, lads, you'll have to change what cheer. But leave your picks behind you, you'll ne'er need them again. And off you go to Nottingham, join Robin's merry men. Ye brave bold men of caution, the day is drawing near.
Black, eerie, cold and empty. That's how she'll always be. Cold, bleak and neglected, miles beneath the sea. The silent, still coal faces, machines no longer in use, the timbers bending with weight, the girders working loose. Maybe the ghosts of men, lost in the bowels of the earth, through trying to make a future, but now what is it worth? All for the sake of money, it is gone and closed for good, leaving behind the misery, just like they knew it would. But who feels the pain? Certainly not those at the top. It's the ordinary, honest miner, whose lives will have to stop. So where is all the money? Has it gone to a foreign land, to help to preserve a pyramid from sinking into the sand? Or maybe they fancy another bomb to protect us from a war. They won't need to watch the Russians, for it's here we have the core. A bubbling little time bomb. These men won't take much more. First a gentle ripple, and then a full-scale war. So all you high-up nobodies, take heed of what we say. The miners will be united, and they will soon see their day.
I think myself that they want the trade union, they want the people in this country just to be cap in hand and turn up for a day. Oh, well, you can work because your face fits. That's what I wanted back. I want us cap in hand on the mouth and then tend to say that they get us that way. But they're not break us because we're all solid.
Well, I think amount of money that we've been getting and amount of children we've got out, it's been a very hard struggle. And people that should realise this, if they've got a family now, they know what a struggle it can be. When you get your family allowance, there's no way that you can go out and buy a joint for children. You don't have your proper nourishing meals and things like that. You cope with chips and beans, and perhaps on a Sunday you might get a bit of stewing meat instead of your normal roast. And you look round and kids want things, and that's a hurting point. When your children want and you just haven't got it.
Oh, now all I do is feed my kids and have my money for my electric. I'm not bothered about paying anybody. They can't have what I haven't got. I mean, I've had a bit of hassle, as you know.
Yeah.
And they give me 2 months to pay, or they're fetching me furniture. They can fetch me furniture. I've still got a roof over my head. I've still got my kids, and I'll still feed them. And that's all there is to it. They understand. I mean, they're not babies. I mean, eldest is 13. And they understand that the dad's doing it for them. I mean, I've got 3 boys, and hopefully, I'm hoping when my kids leave school, they've got a job.
Come on, me lasses, we're on our way to the kitchen. Gang along to the Curry Club, just to start to cooking. All the lasses standing there, ready to give you dinner. Gang along to the Curry Club, we're mad to work in the kitchen.
We are open, each kitchen's open differently, but take Easington, we're open 5 days a week, and we provide around 450, 500 meals a day. Apart from during the 6-week school holidays when we provided 900 a day.
For the first month, 2 months, it was hard. It's still hard. But we're on a plateau now. We can exist, we can live. And the lads are talking about it. If it goes on well next year, we'll fight well next year. And, you know, this starving miner's back to work. Thanks to his brothers in the trades union movement, we can survive.
Mummy, I need new clothes. How I'm going to get them, heaven knows. 26 weeks without any pay, and now we're living day to day. The freezer, alas, is now quite empty, and in my purse, only £1.20. Out of the window has gone my pride, maternal instinct says provide. Faced with trousers with holes in the leg, I guess I've to learn how to beg. Mummy, are you going to give in? No, my darling, not till we win. I know your faith lies in my hand, and perhaps one day you'll understand why the hardships we had to endure to make your future more secure. There's no dignity in a dole queue. That's not the life I want for you.
We are the nameless ones, bargain basements, Tebbits bikers, painters and hole-in-the-shoe hikers. We are down and outs, scroungers and layabouts, often talked about. Lines on social security graphs, percentages, numbers and points, means test applicants, redundancies, McGregorized boys. We are statistics, the unemployed, beggars, overman misfits, rejects and lazy buggers, suicides, death grants, yops, volunteers for social schemes, psychological oddities, benefit books, production outcasts, political pregnancies, supplements, question marks, orphaned ejaculations, fourth world candidates, and millions of pound notes paid weekly. But once, a century ago it now seems, we were known as people.
I came to write this at a time when I was unemployed, and it angered me to see people selling jobs as in taking voluntary redundancy. You never thought for fellow man or sons and daughters' future plans. You took your master's paltry sum instead of fighting. What happens when the time will come, the forums you're writing? Ask your master years from now, when things are better, tell him how. Your sons and daughters need the work, a favour to you. He'll say to you, you had a job, you sold it to me. So look around to years gone past. Your fathers fought for work to last, so tell the master ways deal to go to hell, and tell him that you really feel it's no yours to sell.
Will we be able to buy it back again when I want a job, Dad?
£10,000 in exchange for one miner's job forever. Remember, redundancy money is only wages, paid in advance. When that's gone, what's left for you and your children?
Dad? Dad? How much do you sell me job for?
So get off your knees and stand up and fight like our fathers did before. So get off your knees and stand up and fight like our fathers did before. Now our wives say stand beside us, they're beside us all the way, and we never hear them moaning, though they're struggling without pay. That is why we're gonna win this fight, every dog must have his day. So get off your knees and stand up and fight, let the workers have their say. So get off your knees and stand up and fight, let the workers have their say. As we're standing on our picket lines, which has always been our right, trying to reason with you, comrades, trying to make you see the light. Are you proud to walk on through us, knowing what we do is right? Then make up your mind and come stand with us and our victories inside. Then make up your mind and come stand with us and our victories inside.
You're walking past the picket lines, behind a wall of blue, who laugh and jeer at your fellow men, all because of you. Hiding behind lame excuses when money's your only aim, leaving others to fight your battle, but the benefits will be the same. Knowing of Tory deception, on Thatcher's side you stay, calling your leaders and brothers, never thought we'd see the day. McGregor, you're doing a service. Just wait till your usefulness ends. The butcher won't want to know you. Don't think you'll reap dividends. But if you should come among us, don't tell us who you are, because the wound that you've inflicted leaves an everlasting scar.
Oh, silver birch.
Scabs and coppers. Spot the difference.
I'm getting paid £350 a week to break this strike.
I'm getting paid £350 a week to break this strike.
I read the Daily Mail.
I read the Daily Mail.
I hate trade unions.
I hate trade unions.
I'll still be working in 4 years' time.
Put out the fire, close the furnace door. No longer the need for smelting ore. Cut back on ships and making steel. Tell the workers there's no appeal. Put out the lights on the factory floor. We don't need factories anymore. Still the power that works the mills. Import all socks and suits and frills. Close down the mines, settle an old score. We have no need for them no more. Sell to those who have the wealth. Privatise the national health. We don't need women or working men. Put them on the dole and then cut to the bone the monies we pay. They have no floor to make their say. The union's strength slowly neutralise. We'll stipulate the wages rise. And when they raise their heads to roar, make them toe the Tebet law. Don't worry about the TUC. All deciding votes will favour me. An honours list is by far the way to change where loyalties are. And before realisation of their fate, we'll achieve an authoritarian state. Not Big Brother watching them, but the Iron Mistress from number 10.
And this one's from Bill Sears. He wouldn't get off his knees.
I think, to be honest, to the steelworkers, us in Kent, as a small area, sent the steelworkers £15,000. Well, there's not many men in Kent. There's only about 2,400 of us. Now, we went and stood with the steelworkers at Sheerness, private steelworks, where we got kicked to pieces. We got arrested there, and we stood with the steelworkers. We also, in Kent, refused to handle any steel. So I think it's, to get it on right on record, the steelmen should stand up and say, right, now we will back you the same way as you backed us.
I can remember during the steel strike, a meeting of union members generally throughout South Wales called in support of the steelmen. Bill Sears, their leader, was on that platform. Tears were rolling down that man's cheeks. They were bloody crocodile tears. He was in tears then, overwhelmed, as he said, at the support he'd received from the miners and the other sections of the community in South Wales.
And he had the cheek to take a miner's lamp off our president.
Yes.
What, I wonder, will your memories be, and the effect of the strike on you three? When you look back at your grassroots, will you remember your marching boots? The miles that you walked, come rain or shine, to fight for the future that was yours and mine. Will you remember the songs and the cheers, or will you remember the tension and tears? Will you remember how you played your part, and how with pride you filled my heart? Will you remember how I stood on a picket line, and how you had so little of my time? Will you remember how I felt so bad because I couldn't give you what others had? Will you remember, as you grow older, how you cried upon my shoulder? Or will you remember how we managed to laugh while the bobbies and Tories thought us daft? Will you remember how you made me smile and made my struggle all the more worthwhile? But will you remember the principles and traditions I've taught, or in vain have I fought?
The miners were marching, we were all set to go, with banners being held, some were high, some were low. We walked every step to the beat of the band, and buckets were held in some supporters' hands. We marched and we marched for quite a long way, and came to a field where they asked us to stay. Men were on platforms, all ready to shout, telling the people what it was about. They were talking of closures and shortage of coal, and how all the people want work and not dole. Then we went in the club to have something to eat. There were biscuits and crisps and sandwiches, meat. On slides and on roundabouts, swings with a jerk. Maybe tomorrow our fathers will work.
I'm a miner's wife. I'm a striking miner's wife. And I'm the mother of 2 striking sons. And I'll tell you something else, I'm proud of the lot of them. If anybody had told me last year that I would be going around the country, marching, going to conferences, speaking in front of people like this, I would have thought they were stark, raving mad. But this strike in 1984 got more than me motivated. We knew what our men were doing was right. And so the women rose, and I saw Carol briefly as she came on the stage, and more power to you, Elba Carol, because women have risen up into and formed themselves and organised themselves and will never ever be the same again. Not ever when this is won will never be the same again. Because win it, we will. Because we won't let the men lose. Maggie Thatcher's an iron lady. What a bloody pity. There's some iron ladies in the northeast of England. Now I've got some poems, and I can't take the credit for writing these poems. I'm going to read them to you. But the lady down here, Mrs. Pat Davison, will you stand up, Pat? From the Whittle Miners' Wives Support Group has written these poems. In Nottingham, those strikers' wives have had a hell of a time. Now here's a tale for all to hear of wives of the strike-hit miner. Search the country far and wide, but you will meet none finer. Not for them the mopish life, staying home and crying, or sitting back while others fight, their part in this battle denying. As living gets tougher, we tighten our belts and despair of the work to be done. We remember your courage, our sisters and nuts, and you give us the will to go on. No mercy is shown you, no peace ever given. Your lives must be one living hell. But always remember, though distance may part us, our thoughts are with you, hearts as well. When years have rolled by, we'll sit and remember this struggle, our jobs to protect. We'll tell them with pride how the Nottingham wives wholeheartedly earned our respect. Husbands and children, hold up your head. Walk tall, look all straight in the eye. For the tale of your courage through these bitter times will live on and shall never die.
Inspecting them early.
The people realize through a very hard period of time that the police is not neutral. That is very important. The police have been shown to the British people that it's not neutral when the working class decided to fight for their rights.
The day what we call Black Friday, Easington was invaded by police all weekend. Even on the night time, patrols all up the street. The pit was guarded 24 hours a day. On Tuesday, on the morning, the colliery was sealed off completely. From Easington village was sealed off. Everybody was stopped. You weren't allowed to come in, even if you worked at the shops or anything like that. You had to walk in. Horden was blocked off. You couldn't get in that way. There was even people ordered off public transport. Were made to get off the buses.
I've never seen anything like it in my life. I was absolutely terrified. I came down on the morning with 2 children in the car, and it was just, I mean, the streets were absolutely lined with police vans, Land Rovers, and they were full of police. Then the pavements were lined with police. Then the day after, I was trying to get up the main street in my car, and the police just came from nowhere. The whole street was full of police. Now, as I've just said, I was terrified. I was shook in the car. I couldn't believe this was happening in Easington. If I'd been away for the day, I would never have believed it could happen here.
Like, I just stood there as though I wouldn't get arrested because, like, I was official pickets, eh? Anyhow, when I said them, like, run for us, I tried to get over the wall, and I couldn't get over, and they're, like, dragging us, like, pulling us away down from the wall. Some of my comrades, like, who tried to pull us back, like, anyhow, the place, like, got over us, started hitting us on top of the wall, and, like, back me head and that, like, with the truncheons. They got us down the side of the wall. All the pickets are getting over the other side, and I was there with the place, like, and they just breathed hell out of us, like. Anyhow, one of the pickets on the other side of the wall had a fire extinguisher, and he says if he didn't set it off, they would have killed you, like.
These treble lines of blue that escort the scabs through the gates, where the pickets cannot picket, they cannot talk to them, they cannot get to them, they cannot get anywhere near. The law enforcement officers, of those we should be proud, we're told they're keeping peace for us. Just watch them in a crowd. Poor pickets maimed for trying to talk. Just see the truncheons fly. Brutality? Oh no, not us, the uniformed thugs cry. Those fine police, they stand there, like vultures ready to pounce, waiting to cosh and kick and throttle each eager for his bloody ounce. Brave constables dealing out justice, remembering heavy pay packets, mixing among us, cause plenty of rest, wearing their NCB jackets.
So this is the kind of things you want to be filming. To police state this, there was men, you saw yourselves, there was men just standing on a car park here, and the police came in, inciting, pushing men about. If that's not police incitement, I don't know what is.
If there's anyone there has a moment to spare and can give undivided attention, I'd be grateful if you'd give a minute or two and consider some points I would mention. There are slanderous tongues always ready to wrong and murder the fine reputation of the lads with big feet who by pounding the beat are protecting the peace of the nation. There are short-sighted folks who insist that these blokes are just uniformed masters of thuggery. There can be no dispute if they didn't put the boot in, the country would all go to buggery. So try and keep calm when they're twisting your arm or planting a fist in your gob. When they're giving you hell in a cold prison cell, they're only just doing their job. When Hitler and co. were running the show, assisted by Germany's coppers, if a nose was too big or a mind was too active, its owner was sure of the chopper. Socialists, communists, Jews and trade unionists landed up dead or in quad. And the police were in there, of course, doing their share. Oh, but they were just doing their job. If you're black or just brown, if you're jobless and down, if you speak for a world which is saner, If you stand up and fight for what's yours by right, if you're an anti-nuclear campaigner, remember the chap in the comical hat is one of humanity's crosses. Wherever there's trouble, whatever the struggle, he'll be on the side of the bosses.
I don't think you can tell anybody. They've got to see it for themselves. It's an experience I wouldn't have missed. However terrifying, I wouldn't have missed it. It was a peaceful demonstration, and the police brutality, I just couldn't understand. I've wrote a poem. It's my feelings of what I felt after coming off that picket line, my first picket. I shall never forget my first night as a picket. The place was Silver Hill Pit. I watched as the miners went into the pit gates. The sight of it all made me sick. One poor Notts miner's wife, crying with shame. That's my next-door neighbour, she cried. A comforting arm from one Yorkshire lass as the anger and tears welled inside. One miner's wife, she was holding a banner, was brutally knocked to the ground. I was stunned when the policeman laid into that lass. She was the fox and the police were the hounds. The police, they say, were doing their duty. To me, they went far beyond call, when all we women are trying to do is keep husbands and sons off the door. There was shoving and pushing, shouting and screaming, with the police doing their little bit. 4 miners' wives were arrested that morning from the pickets at Silver Hill Pit.
And on the day in question, when the scabs were brought in, they were rushed in under police escort in a bus, a coach with meshed up windows. And at no stage were our official pickets allowed to picket. They were not allowed to communicate with their own members. And of course, that's what sparked all the trouble off.
I would say there must have been 1,500 to 2,000 riot police. And immediately they piled out of the vans, they immediately went for the pickets, in full riot gear, chased the pickets. Many of them went in homes, nearby homes. But this didn't stop the police. They actually went into the houses. Those who refused to open the doors had their doors broken open. Windows were smashed. The riot police smashed windows to make entrance.
Someone went and shut the door, because the doors were open. Shut the door, and I went through to shut the back door. Well, I wasn't quick enough, and there was about 4 or 5 police there. So I says, "You're not getting in here. There's nobody in here." Because them lads what was in was already in, you know. Anyway, I got my head, in between the kitchen door and the wall. So I tried to keep it, so they couldn't get in. Anyway, I said, you're not getting in. And instead of pushing the door to get in, my head was in between. They pulled it towards them. Well, the door hit here, and my head hit the wall. My glasses went. And that's all I remember. I just heard the son say, "Get her a drink of water and phone for the doctor." I didn't remember night after that.
There was a kid coming up who was streaming with blood. He'd been attacked with 4 policemen. When I asked for a first aid kit to stop the bleeding, I was told, "Go and ask your sympathisers across the road." You can see from there, he'd got a gash down the back of his head. He needed at least 8 stitches, and a gash above his eye that needed at least 4. The only way they'd let me treat him was through a window of a transit, and it's nearly impossible. I'd got no first aid kit, no nothing. They'd got first aid kits on board, but they wouldn't let me use it.
Is that the police officer
If
there?
it was perceived as a thing, you can see how defensive they are. Only draw your truncheons in self-defence. That's a baseball bat, not a truncheon. He couldn't even put it in his pocket.
They weren't just
They came into the village with them.
Yeah.
So it was preconceived before they even got in the village. Because there's no way he's drawn that since he's come in the village unless it went down his trouser leg.
That's an unusual sight as well. If you look on his shoulders, he's got numbers. The majority of them, who are not policemen, we believe, have not got numbers. They're supposed to, by law, apparently, wear numbers on the uniform so as you can identify them. There's no numbers there. That's right, is it, you know?
Same as my mate, he got arrested that day, Wednesday. And they gave him a bit of an hammering, like, before the permit van. They handcuffed him with his hands behind his back, twisted handcuffs, so they dug into his wrist. They come back half an hour later, about 5 or 6 of them, open van doors and says, "Is anybody seriously hurt?" And him, like a silly chuff, like, said, "No." So they whacked him in the stomach and said, "Yeah, now."
Coal, they say, is in demand, but the miner, they don't want to pay. Yet a miner dies of pneumoconiosis in Britain every single day. The die, that's the price of coal. The die, that's the price of coal. Markham in Colliery, one morning the cage went down like a stone. Women and children were left at home for their loved ones, now they mourn. The dead, that's the price of coal. The dead, that's the price of coal. Lofthouse Colliery, the water burst through on a coal face underground. Miners ran like hell for their lives. 7 of them were never found. The dead, that's the price of coal. The dead, that's the price of coal.
The papers rant and the Tories rave. Well, listen, they are so brave, but they don't go down that stinking hole. Please tell me, who digs the coal? Is it Thatcher or the reporters? Is it I or is it you? Or perhaps it's the Reverend Save Your Soul. Please tell me, who digs the coal?
Women are waiting tonight on the pit bank, pale at the heart with dread, watching the dead-still wheels that loom in the murky sky. Till the wheels begin to revolve and the men who they loved so well, the strong, kind, loving men, are brought up in canvas sheets to be identified by a watch or a button or perhaps only a wish. And the King will send his sympathy and the Member of Parliament will be there who voted that the military be used when last these miners came on strike to win a living wage. And the press that has spilled oceans of ink, poisoning the public against the destroyers of industry, will tell the sad tale. And the public will say, how sad. But a week today, all will be forgotten. And the Member of Parliament, the parson, the press, and the public will keep storing up their venom in their hatred for the next big miners' strike. Women are waiting tonight at the pit bank. But even God does not see the hypocrisy and the shame of it all.
Now I've seen falls of stones and broken bones and limbs no doctor can repair. And I've got a friend who has to spend the rest of his life in a chair. Now that's the price of coal. Aye, that's the price of coal.
I witnessed a scene in Sheffield Police Station. There was a lad sitting just a few feet away from me on a bench, and the police were asking him questions, and one of the policemen took his fist and punched him off the seat like that and kicked him repeatedly down there. And they were telling him to get up off there from the floor. You know, that's what they were saying to him. Like, the lad couldn't speak because he was that winded and he was crying, and they just picked him up and they tossed him in the corner. Well, I'd never thought I would ever witnessed anything like that, you know. If anybody had said to me last year, oh, you'll be in that sort of situation, I wouldn't have believed it. I didn't think that would have happened. I know police have been heavy-handed at times, but the violence I've witnessed is, it's serious. You know, the general people in the public don't really want to accept that that's going on. You know, they paint the police out to be little whitey angels, and they're no better than black and tans, because that's what they are. They're just paid thugs that's brought into the likes of this community.
Policemen say they're doing a job, bashing men's head with a club. When it happens in South Africa, our media cry shame. In England they say it's the pickets to blame. Thatcher gives order to her boot boy army, go maim the miners while they starve their families. Policemen and Thatcher, the day will come, you'll have to answer when we have won.
How long can they stand idly by and watch their comrades bleed and die, and every day watch these ugly scenes of their mates getting battered on an English green? It could be a friend or it could be a neighbour whose only crime was withdrawing their labour. These same young men, when down the hole, would be the first to help you dig your coal. So whatever your differences or petty hates, get out on the streets and support your mates.
Now I know a nice young policeman of disposition sweet, and all the children greet him as he patrols his beat. He's kind to dear old ladies who want to cross the street, but he steps on evildoers with his great big plates of meat. Now he'd never bend the evidence or take a bribe, thank you, of course. He's an upright heterosexual and a credit to the force. He's honest, kind and truthful, fearless, brave and keen, the finest human being that you have ever seen. And he has no racial prejudice, he is totally without sin, protecting Pakistanis from the violence of the skins. Impartial on the picket line, to the striker he's a friend. He is stainless, faultless, peerless, conscientious to the end. Oh. Oh, dear!
I was watching a policeman actually clubbing a picket about something awful. I told him a few choice words that he shouldn't be doing it. Another policeman ran up and told me I was nicked. And I said, I don't give a damn about you and no one else. So he arrested me, took me towards the police line, and as he was going, I thought I'd make a little protest, and I put my arm up in a gesture and shouted, "Way!" And with that, he hit me right on the head with a truncheon. And I didn't make no effort to do no harm to him or any other policeman.
Before I came back into the mining industry, I did 3 years in Ireland, and I'm ashamed of what happened out there when I was there. And believe me, it's bloody coming, because I can tell how the police are trained, that they're trained by army. The dogs what they have aren't always police dogs. They're war dogs, and you can tell by the way they're trained. They're not trained to, if they go for anybody, capture, down and guard. They're trained for to rip apart. And we've experienced it all, Greaves, where the dogs were let loose and they're war dogs, you know?
And what I seen that day is nothing. You can never call the police police in this country because they were running into the crowd with horses and batons about a yard long and thrashing out at anyone and everything that moved. Regardless what you done, if you was only standing still, they would have hit you to the ground. And I was listening on telly, and the commentator was saying the police use their trenches liberally. Well, if he calls that liberally, he must have made the biggest understatement I've ever heard. And television is really biased towards the miners, and I feel really bitter about it because they are showing whenever a miner does a little bit of aggro, it doesn't show the full effect of the police against the miner.
They got me on the floor, spread-eagled me, a copper on each arm, one on each leg, and they started to hit my arms and legs with a truncheon, methodically, until I'd no power or grip left in my arms. Then they just proceeded to twist them straight up my back. I think he wanted to take it home for a souvenir. Now, why the police go in with such venom? They seem to enjoy inflicting pain and suffering on the working man. Why? Who tells them to go beat a picket's head? Who tells them to inflict pain, try to kill him? Because that's what they're doing. You stand there in the push and all you feel all of a sudden, a fella outside, he'll collapse in a pile on the floor. What's up with you? He's just been kneed in the groin. I've seen police do it. I've no skin left on my shins, where they run the boots down your shin. But if you look at him the wrong way, you're nicked. I want to know who gives them the power to do this. Who tells them to beat me, a working man, with a stick? Who is it? I want to know.
But whenever we challenge them, and you ask them on whose authority they are acting, they always say, my chiefs, or in other words, I'm obeying orders. Well, I well remember the Nuremberg trials, when the Nazis were on trial for gassing 6 million Jews. And that was exactly the excuse that they used. We were obeying orders. Now, how far are our police prepared to go in obeying their orders? Well, with what I've seen on the picket lines and what I've seen in our village here, I believe there's many of those police will go all the way.
Get off in, you bastards!
Why is Daddy crying, Ma'am? Has he got a poorly head? Was it done by men in blue when they dragged us out of bed?
You bastard! I fucking seen that!
No, son. He's shedding tears of pride in the medals he has won. Nay, lad, they're not across his chest. They're out there, every one. Workers cheering in the streets, supporters filling every hall, sending food by lorry load, responding to the call. Every worker's contribution, no matter if it's small, everyone's a medal, lad, responding to the call. Every tin, a hope expressed, that we will see it through. Every single coin, a prayer, that scabs will one day rue. So when the battle's over, when the Tories are no more, the world will still remember 1984.
You know, what people tend to forget, we've had 5 miners killed on picket lane and 1 child trying to get a bit of coal for heat. Bloody wrong. And we're not going to give in because no way, a hollow victory is no victory. It's going to be a 100% victory.
It is going to be.
And it's going to be for them lads who put their lives on the line and everybody else.
Come gather round, you people, you women and your men. Once more our backs up to the wall, we've been attacked again. Which side are you on? 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 Now Thatcher sent McGregor to smash the NUM, break the workers' unity, and I ask you once again, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Which side are you on? By bully boys in uniforms and thugs with riot shields, our comrades' blood is being shed, and still they will not yield. Which side are you on? 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 And the Tories rant, tear their hair and shout democracy, but the kind the Tories have in mind is no for you and me. Which side are you on? 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 And the choice is there before us. There's just one thing to do. Support the miners' struggle, or the next in line is you. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you